Welcome to another tutorial in our Raven Guard series, and this will be the last tutorial for this little guy here. In this part we'll paint all the details for this miniature, and I will show how I painted the bolt gun, the leather bands, the green bags and leather bands, and as well as the eyes and the metals. So not a whole lot of details left on this guy, but it's a few simple tricks that you can use up your sleeve when you're painting things a little bit quicker. At least for the metals, I believe. The bolt gun and the green demands a little bit more of work, but they're fairly quick as well. So right now I'm just base coating the bolt guns with matte black from the scale range. Next up we're going to start highlighting our bolters with some green gray, the dark version, since the light version also is called green gray. I think they've changed the name by now, but my colors are called green gray and green gray. So keep that in mind. So I'm gonna highlight all the edges and make a small little glaze transition onto some of the flat surfaces with this, just to reflect that some light is hitting the flat surface as well. But most of the time I'm going to focus on the top edges of the bolters and bolt guns. Bolt guns and bolters are the same thing, sorry about that. And so yeah, your basic edge highlight with a bit more finesse, and have in mind where your light source is coming from as well, so it will catch that aspect. And the reason why I use green grays is because I want the black bolt guns to stand out from the blue armor. I don't want them to be the same material, so therefore we use a different black for this. Just to add a little bit of a different aspect to the miniature, so we don't get all blue everywhere on the black. Just a nice little neat detail. If you like to, you can of course use the same blue for the bolt guns, and in that case you can just airbrush them at the same time when you airbrushed the armor. So next up, we're gonna paint with the light version of green gray. And we're gonna add further highlights to the ends and the top of the previous highlighted areas. And I'm gonna focus on exposing more light at some of the points that are more exposed to the light source. And also we're going to add some small dots on edges and ends of details, just to catch some of that light flow. So for the leather bands and the bags, I'm gonna use a new color that I have recently bought, extra green gray, or extra dark German green, or yeah, weird name. And I'm gonna use this as a base color. I actually found that this color was pretty great for painting these details. And I'm also thinking of trying out and painting some cloth with this in the future as well, because it had a really interesting tone to it. So we'll be seeing more of that, I think. Definitely for some fantasy miniatures as well. So next up, we're going to give our green surfaces some small shadings, and Rhino Oxide works excellent with this since it's a red-brown color. It will shade down the green nicely. Great contrast. So for our first highlight, we're gonna use some Gunship Green. It's a very, very matte and pale green tone, and works really nice. And this whole like green recipe we got going on here is, I think, it's going to work great for clothings. So definitely we'll be, as I mentioned before, using this in the future because it's got that matte finish that green clothes usually give off. I'll just highlight the edges with this, and also we'll glaze in some transitions to some of the flat surfaces to show off some light bouncing off. So final highlight with Green Sky, also a new color that I have recently bought. I really like this one. It's got a little bit of a yellow hint to it, but still a very pale and light green. A really interesting color. Of course, I usually mix colors, so I can mix like whatever I need, but I think it's always nice to have all these colors to choose from, because mixing isn't always that fun. So it's always nice to have pre-mixed colors. But if you have a limited color selection, you can always mix whichever you like. I found that I mix skin tones quite a lot, since I'm never satisfied with the ones that I get from color ranges. I always end up tweaking them a little bit, for example. But anyway, highlighting all the edges with this color, and this will be a final highlight. So don't go overboard with this, because otherwise you will kill the light vibe it will give off. Next up, we're gonna paint some real quick metals, and for this we're going to use some black metal and some Rhinoxide for our base. And what this does is that it will give us a nice base tone to contrast with some simple edge highlighting later on. And look really dark, of course, which is always nice for metals. So now I'm just going to simply highlight this with some Emerald Alchemy. Since this color is a blue color, it will contrast really great with the reddish metal base that we have painted on here. And that's it. That's how simple I make the metals on this miniature. Because I don't think the metals play a big part when you're painting lots of these guys. So wouldn't be giving them too much attention, because a very dark metal with some simple highlights will always look pretty great on its own. For our last detail, we will paint out the eyes with some deep red. and I will glaze this further out with some Incubi Darkness to give it some dark in the middle of the ice. And then I will paint out with some Aldebaran Red to increase the light and the glow of the ice. So to further increase this as well, I'm going to mix it up with some Ice Yellow, the Aldebaran Red, and then I will, for its final paint job, I will give it a dot of Ice Yellow to the darkest areas of the ice, mainly in the middle, just to show that a reflection is given off by the glass. Unfortunately, my hair was in the way for that last part when I painted out the dots, but you can still see where they are placed, so I hope you can figure out how to place Ice Yellow dots onto the right surfaces on the miniature. The last step is fairly easy if you just get good brush control and enough paint at the tip of your brush. And you can always repaint eyes as well, since they're not that big. So it's a fairly easy detail to repaint if you fail. Now you can paint it again until you succeed. Alright, but I hope you guys enjoyed these tutorials. I will leave you off with the rest of this eye part here, and I will see you in the next one. So yeah, bye bye.